Hello, everyone. It's a dark night, isn't it? The cool breeze feels like it's hiding something in the shadows. My name is Rin, and tonight, I'm going to tell you a story I heard. A story about the Lord of Death. Don't be scared just yet. Or are you already afraid? It all began in a small village, a quiet place. Too quiet. They say there was a shadow there, a shadow that wasn't just a shadow. It was him, the Lord of Death. I heard this from my grandma, her voice trembling as she spoke, as if she'd seen it herself. She said he's not just a legend. He's real. A truth waiting in the darkness. Grandma told me about a night long ago when she was young. The village was holding a temple fair, everyone laughing and cheerful. But at midnight, every light in the fair went out. A cold wind blew, and there was a sound. The sound of chains dragging slowly, heavily. The elders' faces paled. They knew. He was coming, the Lord of Death. Why did he come? Grandma said someone in the village had sinned gravely. They stole from the shrine and lied to everyone. That night, the man who sinned disappeared. No one knew where he went. Some said he fled. Others said, the Lord of Death took him. In the morning, strange footprints were found at the shrine, too large to be human, and a faint smell of smoke, like the fires of hell. Scary, right? But Grandma said it was a warning, a reminder that every sin has a price. The story of the Lord of Death isn't just in that village. I've heard tales from other places too. Like the story of a young man named Ek, a troublemaker who stole and fought with his parents. He thought nothing could stop him. One night, Ek drove drunk and crashed. The sound of twisting metal filled the air, then silence. He thought he was dead. But he woke up, in a place that wasn't a hospital. It was dark, freezing, with thick fog everywhere. And in front of him stood a towering black shadow, cloaked in darkness. Why, do you destroy your own life? The voice boomed. Ek trembled, unable to speak. The shadow, the Lord of Death, stared at him with eyes that knew everything. You have a chance to make things right, but you must prove it. Ek was confused. Prove what? Then everything went black. When he woke again, he was in the woods, his car wrecked, but he was alive. He thought it was a dream, until he saw the burn mark on his wrist, like a chain had bound him. After that, Ek changed. He stopped his reckless ways, apologized to his parents, and helped the village. He believed the Lord of Death gave him a second chance. But some nights, he still dreams of that shadow, and wakes up terrified. Is he still being watched? Not everyone gets a chance like Ek. There's the story of a woman named Cain, beautiful but cruel. She deceived people, hurt those who loved her, thinking she was too clever to face consequences. One night, she dreamed, or was it a dream? She woke in a pitch-black room, her bed cold as ice. At the foot of her bed, he stood, the Lord of Death. You live only for yourself. Kay screamed, but no one heard. In the morning, Kay was gone. Her house was empty, no signs of a struggle. But on the floor were strange footprints, too large, and a faint smell of sulfur. Neighbors said they heard chains that night, and sobbing, but no one dared check. Where did Kay go? Some say she fled. Others say the Lord of Death took her. What do you think? I'm still wondering myself. These stories make me look back at my own life. What wrongs have I done? Have I lied? Hurt someone without meaning to? Maybe the Lord of Death doesn't always come as a giant figure. Maybe he's the guilt that weighs on our hearts. Have you ever felt that? When you're alone, and it feels like a shadow is following you. There's another tale about Uncle Chai, a grumpy man who yelled at kids and chased stray dogs. Everyone feared him. One night, he ran to the village chief's house, pale and wide-eyed. He said he saw the Lord of Death by the big banyan tree. He looked at me. He knew everything I've done. Uncle Chai cried. The chief tried to calm him, but Chai swore he heard chains and saw glowing red eyes in the dark. After that, Uncle Chai changed. He became kind, gave candy to kids, and fed stray dogs. He said he never wanted to face the Lord of Death again. But some nights, he'd wake up, hearing chains. Real or a dream? No one knows. But Chai was scared, terrified. I once asked Grandma if the Lord of Death is real. She smiled and said, if you live a good life, you won't meet him. But if you do wrong, he'll know. He'll come. Her words stuck with me. Sometimes, when I walk home alone on quiet nights, I feel like someone's watching. I turn, but no one's there. So why does my heart race? Is he nearby? One time, I almost experienced something strange. It was a stormy night, and I was walking home. The road was deserted, my umbrella nearly blown away. I felt it, someone following me. I walked faster, my heart pounding. I turned, but no one was there. Yet, I saw a shadow in the corner of my eye. I ran home, locked the door, but that night, I swear I heard a whisper, "Be careful." I was too scared to sleep. Was he warning me? Or was it my imagination? The stories of the Lord of Death are endless, everywhere, all the time. There's Aunt Sam, a fortune teller who saw him in her mirror one night after giving a false reading. She said he stood behind her, his large hand on her shoulder, whispering, "Don't deceive others again." She quit fortune telling, too scared to face him again. Then there's Tam, a boy who bullied his friends, pushing them into water and laughing at their tears. One night, he woke to a pitch-black room. At his window stood a towering shadow. Tam screamed, His parents rushed in, but nothing was there. He said he heard a voice, "Stop hurting others." After that, Tam became kind, apologizing to everyone he'd hurt. But sometimes, he still glances at his window, afraid the shadow will return. These stories make me wonder. Who is the Lord of Death? A ghost? A tale to scare children? Yet every story has something in common. He comes when someone does wrong. He warns, or sometimes punishes. Do you believe? Or have you ever experienced something strange? I remember my friend Mew once told me she saw a shadow after lying to her parents. She said she was going to a friend's but went elsewhere. That night, she woke to a freezing room, feeling someone standing by her bed. She didn't dare look but heard heavy breathing and a voice, "Don't lie again." Mew cried all night and swore never to lie again. She's been honest ever since. Was it fear? There's also the story of teacher Saman, a strict principal who punished kids too harshly. One night, he couldn't sleep, hearing chains outside his window. He looked, saw nothing, but when he turned, a shadow stood in his room. "You harm children you don't understand." Saman collapsed, his heart racing. The next day, he resigned and was never seen again. Where did he go? Did the Lord of Death take him? And there's Uncle Sang, a fun-loving man who once cheated his friends. He thought no one knew. But one night, he dreamed of standing in darkness, chains binding him, the Lord of Death before him. You think you can cheat without consequences? Sang woke sweating, returned every penny, and apologized. He said he never wanted that dream again, it was too terrifying. Then there's Knock, a shy girl who stole from a shop, thinking no one saw. That night, she woke to a cold room and heard footsteps. At her door stood a towering shadow. You stole what isn't yours. Knock screamed, but when the light came on, no one was there. The next day, she returned the item and swore never to steal again. Yet some nights, she feels eyes watching her from the dark. The stories of the Lord of Death never end. Every village, every city, people tell them. Some say he's justice, unseen. Others say he's fear, living in our hearts. But whatever he is, he changes people. He makes them afraid. He makes them think. I heard a story from my friend's grandpa, Grandpa Gold, once a hunter who killed needlessly. One night in the forest, he heard chains and the cries of animals he'd killed. He saw the Lord of Death among the trees. You destroy life without thought. Gold trembled, abandoned his gun, and spent his life saving animals. But sometimes, he still hears chains in his dreams. And there's Brother Joe, a bully who tormented the weak. One night, walking home, he felt followed. He turned, saw nothing, but heard breathing and saw a shadow. He ran, but the shadow grew closer. He fell and heard, "Stop hurting others." Joe woke in his house, thinking it was a dream, but a burn mark on his arm looked like a grip. He stopped bullying, became quiet, but some nights, he stares out his window, fearing the shadow's return. The Lord of Death is like a shadow that follows us, making us reflect on our actions, our words. Why does he come? Why do some see him and others don't? Does he choose? Choose those who sin? Or is he always around, waiting? There's a tale from a nearby village about Grandpa Green, a cheat who overpriced goods and tricked the poor. One night, he heard knocking at his door. He opened it, nothing. But when he closed it, the Lord of Death stood in his room. You exploit others too much. Green collapsed, thinking he'd die. In the morning, he returned all he'd cheated and stopped selling. But he still fears the shadow's return. And there's Star, an orphan girl who stole food out of hunger. One night, in her small shack, she woke to cold and saw a shadow, not terrifying, but stern. You stole out of need, but find the right path. Star cried, promising never to steal. The next day, she took small jobs. She felt he gave her a chance, or was it pity? The stories of the Lord of Death aren't just ghost tales. They're about us. Every action, every word has consequences. Maybe he doesn't come as a giant or in a black cloak. Maybe he's the guilt we feel. Have you ever felt it? That weight when you've done wrong, like someone's watching. It's heavy, like chains around your heart. Tonight, if you walk home and hear strange sounds or see a shadow move, don't be too afraid. Maybe he's just warning you. But if you know you've done wrong, be careful. Because the Lord of Death, he's watching. Everywhere. Always. And sometimes, he doesn't just warn. Thanks for listening to the end. Sweet dreams, or will it be nightmares?